It's 1:43 a.m. 16-year-old Ayaan tells himself, just one more match. His bedroom is dark except for the glow of a monitor. His headset blocks out the quiet house around him. His eyes burn, and he has already yawned several times, but he barely notices. A close victory fills him with excitement. A narrow defeat makes him want immediate revenge. Every match feels unfinished. Every reward feels almost within reach. His alarm for school is only a few hours away, yet shutting the computer down somehow feels harder now than it did an hour earlier. Outside the room, nothing dramatic is happening. There is no emergency, no loud noise, no crisis. Yet inside Ayaan's brain, two powerful biological systems are quietly competing. One is trying to push him towards sleep. The other keeps promising that the next moment might be even more rewarding than the last. By the time exhaustion finally wins, sunrise is much closer than bedtime ever was. Many people assume teenagers stay awake because they simply lack discipline or spend too much time on screens. But for late-night gaming, the story is more specific than that. Modern games are designed around reward systems that interact with the brain's motivation circuits. Those circuits are already changing rapidly during adolescence. Researchers have found that the teenage brain is especially responsive to rewards and novelty, while the systems responsible for long-term planning and self-control are still developing. That combination makes late-night gaming different from simply watching television or reading before bed. It is not just entertainment. It is an ongoing sequence of anticipation, uncertainty, competition, and reward that can continue long after the body begins asking for sleep. Research from developmental neuroscientist Lawrence Steinberg and colleagues has consistently shown that adolescent reward sensitivity peaks during the teenage years while cognitive control continues maturing into early adulthood. Meanwhile, the American Academy of Sleep Medicine has repeatedly emphasized that teenagers require more sleep than they often receive. Understanding this interaction helps explain why so many teenagers genuinely intend to stop after one game and still find themselves playing several more. The issue is not simply a lack of willpower. It is the timing of two biological systems pulling in opposite directions. To understand this loop, it helps to separate dopamine from pleasure. Dopamine is often described as the brain's feel-good chemical, but neuroscientists have argued for years that this description is incomplete. Professor Kent Berridge at the University of Michigan has shown that dopamine is deeply involved in motivation and wanting rather than pleasure itself. It helps push the brain toward pursuing rewards, especially when those rewards are uncertain. Modern multiplayer games frequently use variable reward schedules. A player never knows exactly when the next exciting event will happen. The next rare item, dramatic comeback, higher rank, or satisfying victory could always be one game away. This uncertainty keeps the brain engaged. The principle itself was described decades ago through the work of psychologist B.F. Skinner on variable reinforcement schedules, and later research has shown similar reward learning mechanisms operating in humans. Each close victory creates anticipation for another. Each frustrating defeat encourages another attempt to restore success. The brain begins chasing possibility instead of responding only to actual rewards. Because every match ends with another opportunity immediately available, there is rarely a natural stopping point. At the same time, another biological process is unfolding. Throughout the day, the brain builds sleep pressure through the gradual accumulation of adenosine. Sleep researchers, including those working from the laboratory of Dr. Charles Czeisler at Harvard Medical School, have demonstrated how sleep pressure and circadian rhythms work together to regulate healthy sleep timing. Under ordinary circumstances, increasing sleep pressure makes staying awake progressively more difficult, but highly stimulating activities can temporarily mask the feeling of tiredness. Competitive gaming combines rapid decision-making, emotional highs, social interaction, visual stimulation, and continuous uncertainty. Together, these factors maintain mental alertness even while the body's need for sleep continues growing underneath. Blue-enriched light from computer monitors and gaming displays adds another layer. Research led by Professor Charles Czeisler and studies published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences by Anne-Marie Chang and colleagues in 2015 found that evening exposure to light from electronic devices can delay melatonin production, making it harder for the brain to prepare for sleep. Adolescence makes this timing even more complicated. Research by sleep scientist Mary Carskadon at Brown University has shown that teenagers naturally experience a delayed circadian rhythm during puberty. Their biological clocks already tend to shift toward later bedtimes. Late-night gaming stacks intense reward stimulation onto an age when sleep timing is naturally moving later, creating a powerful combination that can extend wakefulness well beyond physical exhaustion. A common belief is that teenagers stay awake simply because games are too fun. But enjoyment alone does not fully explain the pattern. Many teenagers become frustrated during late-night sessions. They lose repeatedly. They complain. They even say they are tired. Yet they continue playing. The stronger explanation is that the brain remains engaged by anticipation rather than constant enjoyment. Kent Berridge's work separating wanting from liking helps explain why someone can continue pursuing an activity even when it is no longer consistently pleasurable. The motivation system keeps signaling that the next reward might arrive soon. Another misconception is that teenagers can simply catch up on sleep during weekends without consequences. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine and the American Academy of Pediatrics have both noted that irregular sleep schedules can disrupt circadian timing and make returning to weekday routines more difficult. The issue is not just fewer hours of sleep. It is also inconsistent biological timing. Research does not suggest that gaming itself is inherently harmful. Instead, evidence points toward the interaction between timing, stimulation, and adolescent biology. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine consistently emphasizes that healthy sleep timing supports learning, emotional regulation, attention, and overall health in adolescence. Studies led by Mary Carskadon have shown that adequate sleep improves daytime functioning during the teenage years, while chronic sleep restriction can affect mood, memory, and school performance. Research on behavioral design also suggests that environmental cues influence when activities naturally end. Games that provide continuous progression, unpredictable rewards, and immediate re-entry into another match reduce natural stopping points. Researchers studying behavioral psychology have long recognized that these design features can extend engagement without requiring constant rewards. Together, these findings point toward a broader conclusion. The late-night gaming habit is not explained by laziness or poor character. It reflects the interaction between adolescent brain development, reward learning, circadian biology, and modern game design. As the first morning light reaches Ayaan's window, the game finally ends. The excitement fades almost instantly, replaced by the heavy exhaustion that had been waiting in the background for hours. Nothing about the night was random. It was the result of several biological systems working exactly as researchers have described them. Understanding that hidden dopamine loop changes the story. It shifts the conversation away from blame and toward biology. If this explanation made you see late-night gaming differently, you may find the next documentary in this series just as revealing as we continue exploring how everyday habits quietly reshape the brain and sleep.